Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. A very intriguing matchup on the Week 4 slate as 3-0 Memphis, 3-0 Missouri square off, and Missouri coming off a massive win against Kansas State. Coach Drink clearly has this thing going in the right direction. And I'll say this. I don't know why Missouri doesn't have a number next to their name. To not rank Missouri after what you saw last Saturday, to me, absolutely wow. That is a bona fide Kansas State team that is a top 15 team in the country. Missouri gets it done. This is a team that kind of continues to fly under the radar, but this Missouri team, and you look across the SEC, not many teams are scaring you. And Missouri is one of probably the more complete teams that you see in the conference. Excited to get into this matchup. Now, before we do, just want to say thank you to you guys for these game breakdowns. The support you guys have shown the boys truly does mean a lot. It's been absolutely awesome talking ball with you guys in the comment section. So if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. But more importantly, let me know in the comments how you guys are feeling about this game. The best part about doing this, talking ball, learning from you guys in the comment section. And without further ado, let's get into this. And I want to start with Missouri. Something kind of jumped off the paper. And this is something that I don't know if many Missouri fans remember us talking about a couple months ago in the offseason. The opening schedule for Missouri was gettable, right? And we said if they could get through that Kansas State game, I mean, you have Memphis this week, then Vanderbilt, winnable game. And there is a likely probability, and you got to take care of business. LSU coming to Missouri, Missouri 5-0, should be ranked by then, you would think. And you look across the SEC, and there's not many teams that are like, yeah, that's a juggernaut that Missouri doesn't have a chance against. And so this is a Missouri team that, again, the national media won't talk about them that much. This is a dangerous team in the SEC and a really good team at that. And I want to start with this Missouri offense. And the first thing that jumps out the page, kind of prepping this one out, they've only turned the ball over once all year. I mean, you talk about winning football, going up and beating a team as solid as Kansas State. That's how you do it. And the lack of turnovers, how Brady Cook's been able to take care of the football is probably the thing that jumps out to me the most in this game. And Brady Cook, I want to talk a little bit about Brady Cook. I know Coach Drink was a little frustrated with the crowd booing him. I'm not sure if the crowd was booing him as much as they were booing kind of the play calling and the offensive performance. Brady Cook, sometimes it's not always glamorous, but he is the definition of a gamer. Kind of reminds me of Max Duggan last year against TCU, where he's not the most talented quarterback in the country. I don't think anyone would argue that. That being said, when it is time to get it done, move the chains, whether it's through the air, whether it's with his legs, Brady Cook consistently shows out, was playing banged up mostly last year as well. This dude epitomizes what it is to be a college football quarterback, an absolute gamer. And I think the right guy for this offense, and the emergence of Luther Burden has been a huge story for Missouri in terms of hitting that explosive play. Now, Missouri struggled to get stuff going against the run, in the run game against Kansas State, which is one of the best front sevens that we've seen across the country. But what helped them, and was something we talk about so much, is can you hit the explosive play? That means so much in college football. And quite frankly, I think won them the game against Kansas State. Who's been providing those explosive plays? It's Luther Burden. I mean, there's a strong argument that he is one of, if not the best wide receiver in the SEC. Obviously, really talented coming out of high school, 5-star guy. And he's starting to be the guy in that offense. And losing Dominic Lovett, I'm not saying that helps this Missouri team, but kind of Luther Burden taking that role over, being that go-to guy who you can line up anywhere. I mean, I think this raises the ceiling of this Missouri team, because Luther Burden, I love how they're using him. Just, we're going to get you the ball any way possible, end around screens. We're going to run you vertically downfield. He's a guy that you take a look at the offense, you try to find your playmakers. Luther Burden's that guy, getting as many touches as you can. Another thing I want to note, would like to see Theo Weiss and maybe even Mookie Cooper get involved a little bit more, especially as defenses are certainly going to be keying on Luther Burden. Theo Weiss was a 5-star coming out of high school too. Now, a little bit of a slower developer, but you see the talent that he has. If people want to put a safety over Luther Burden and kind of direct a lot of their attention to him, yeah, still get Luther Burden's touches, but work Theo Weiss in there too, because I think he is a very dangerous player. Mookie Cooper as well. And the last thing I want to note for Missouri on offense, we'll get to that Memphis defense. I think the offensive line can be a little bit better. This was something that, one of the parts of why I was so high on Missouri heading into the year, was that offensive line. Guys like Javon Foster are dogs. I don't think it's been a bad group, and they were matched up against a very tough front seven against Kansas State, but I think it's a group that can continue to get better as the season goes on. And if that group starts to click and is as good as I think it can be, like you're looking at a really dangerous Missouri offense. Memphis' defense doing a really good job turning the ball over. There's a reason this team is 3-0. Now, kind of hard to get a vibe on Memphis, right? They beat Navy at home. They beat Bethune-Cookman. They beat Arkansas State. No teams that are really eye-popping and you're going to take a lot out of. That being said, a really experienced cornerback in Seth Hennigan, but focusing in on that defense, forcing 2.3 turnovers per game. That's probably going to be one of the bigger battles in terms of looking at this matchup. Can Missouri continue to take care of the football on offense, or can Memphis maybe get some turnovers going a little bit? Now, flipping the script, talking about this Memphis offense against the Missouri defense that I think, again, sneaky, really, really good. Memphis has a really good quarterback. Seth Hennigan's completing 71% of his balls. He's a true junior, but he's played a lot of football starting as a true freshman. And they got a really good running back in Blake Watson, who is averaging 7.5 yards per carry. Watched him a little bit Thursday night against Navy. It's a dude that's hard to bring down. Now, taking a look at this Missouri defense, dominant against the run. I mean, 2.5 yards per carry, a 62% completion percentage. And part of the narrative that why I'm so high on this Missouri offense is a very similar story for this Missouri defense. I think they're very complete. I had some question marks about the front seven, especially that defensive line. I think it's looked pretty good so far. And you have, and we talked about where's Missouri's pass rush going to come? Niles Gaddy stepping up. Darius Robinson has stepped up. When you have a linebacker like Teron Hopper, who is, I think, the best blitzing linebacker in the country, one of the best linebackers, period, in the country. But in terms of blitzing, and you say, hey, where are we going to get our pressure from? You have a guy in Teron Hopper who just is so comfortable, so good at blitzing off the edge through the A-gap. That's a massive piece for this Missouri team. And then in the back end, I mean, we talked about this heading into the year. One of the better secondaries that you'll see in the SEC, Chris Abrams-Drains, could have been playing in the NFL right now, decides to come back. Part of the reason why I like this Missouri team so much is they're just complete. There's not many spots on this roster that you have holes in. And you take a look at the transfer portal era, not a lot of teams can say that because you have a lot of guys transferring out, shuffling rosters. Not a lot of teams are heading into that 2023 season saying we don't have many holes in our depth chart. I think Missouri has one of the more solid, deep depth charts that you'll see in the SEC. And I think that's leading to the early success that we're seeing for this Missouri team. Now, getting to the pick here, Memphis coming in around 7.5-point dogs is the last time I saw that number. 6 points now. So inside of a touchdown for Missouri. I'll tell you right now, like I picked Kansas State to beat Missouri last week. Obviously was wrong. I'm not going to make that same mistake again. This is a Missouri team that I liked in the summer. I thought Kansas State might have been a little bit more of a complete team. I'll eat my words there. This is a Missouri team that takes care of the football. They play good defense. They can hit the explosive play on offense. That's a good recipe for winning a lot of games. Now, this Memphis team, I think, is one of the better teams in the American Conference. It's certainly not a sleepwalk game, and Coach Drinkowitz and the staff is going to make sure that Missouri is ready to play this game because Memphis is a legitimate good team. But at the end of the day, I haven't seen much from Memphis where I want to trust them that much. You haven't really seen them play a quality opponent. You've seen Missouri just go to absolute war with a very good Kansas State team, a Kansas State team that won the Big 12 title last year and returned a lot of that production. Give me the Missouri Tigers inside of a touchdown here. I think they're the more complete team. And if Coach Drink has these guys ready to play, it's hard to see Memphis beating Missouri here. Again, appreciate you guys rocking with the boys. And if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys. And we'll talk to y'all later.